Hey guys, welcome to episode number 477. Today is Monday, so it's Update Monday, and we've got a lot going on down here in the fish room, but I thought I would focus on one thing in particular, and it was water change day yesterday, and I managed to siphon a lot of stuff off the bottoms of these aquariums, as I always do. But as you can see, 48 hours later, there's already an accumulation of junk that's back on the bottoms of these tanks. And this has been a recurring problem. It's sort of been a problem with the system since I put it together. And it's mostly caused by two factors. One, these tanks are sort of, in a way, they're independent ecosystems, right? There's like 40 gallons of water that sits right here, and then only a little bit is overflowing out of that overflow. So most of the matter that is floating around in this tank is actually staying in this tank, and a lot of it is falling to the bottom, and that's where I have to end up siphoning it out. If I had more water flow in these tanks, some of this stuff might get kicked up enough to go over the overflow, and then my mechanical filtration in my central sump system could probably take care of it. But in a lot of cases, that's not happening. And you will notice that this side is quite a bit cleaner than this side. And there's two reasons for that. One, I've got my water coming in right here, so that's sort of kicking up the bottom of this side. But two, I've been experimenting with something of a lift tube filter, and that's what I wanted to show you guys today. I'm trying to figure out a good way to remove that junk that's both sitting on the bottom of the tank but also floating around in the water column. And I might end up going with a sponge filter or a box filter with polyfill at some point, but until then I've just been experimenting and playing around, and I thought to myself, what could I do which is relatively cheap and maybe somewhat effective to solve this problem? And this is what I've come up with. I have an air stone in every one of my tanks, and so all I did was I dropped it down inside of a 2-inch PVC tube, which is cut basically exactly to the water height in these aquariums. And I haven't even notched the bottom of the PVC, although that would probably help. So what's happening is the water and all the junk in the water is sucking from the bottom of this tank up this airlift tube all the way to the top. And as you'll see, way at the top of this PVC tower, we have a piece of blue bonded filter material, and I've cut a small hole in that to allow me to place it around the opening to this airlift tube. And essentially all of the junk that's being lifted by this airlift has to basically spill into and onto this blue bonded filter pad. And as you can see, because it's slightly above the water level, it just sits here and it collects, and all of that color there is what has been collected over the last 24 or 48 hours. So it's doing an okay job. I wouldn't say it's doing a great job, but I also haven't fine-tuned or adjusted any of this. I can sort of push this filter foam down if I want to you know, put it closer to the water level. However, some of that debris could just sort of spill off back into the water. I can raise it up so that it's slightly above the water level and adjust it, you know, based on wherever my water level is. So pretty easy to adjust. As we go down, we can see that this blue bonded is sitting on a piece of Metalla filter material. And again, I cut a hole through the middle of that, and that's just acting as a support for the blue bonded to sit on so that it can sit above the water level. And then below that, the only other thing we have is a small piece of pool noodle, which has just been zip tied onto that PVC pipe, which allows the top of this tower to float, whereas the bottom of it sinks. And even though it's top heavy, it stays upright in the tank. Obviously, I don't think this would work with really big fish in the tank. That would knock something like this over. But I thought it was an interesting take on a filtration device, which is working okay at removing some of the debris in the tank. Anyways, I thought that was a neat and interesting little idea. It's by no means better than a sponge filter or a box filter, but you know, it's always worth experimenting when it comes to your aquariums, and it's always worth sharing when it comes to your aquariums so that you can inspire other people to try out things as well. Anyways, guys, that's what I've been up to. That and water changes and cleaning the bottoms of all of these tanks. Got a lot of other things going on. I will definitely share those things as we continue on down here in the fish room. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.